Hey everybody, welcome back to The Zone. As I like to call it, I'm just going to start calling it The Zone. I'm not. It's the Twilight Zone. Season 2, Episode 4. Last time, little Billy, little Johnny, what was his name? He had an imaginary friend, and that imaginary friend tried to kill him. But luckily, he was the same imaginary friend that his dad had, back in the old days. And in non-ghost imagination land, there was also this family with a bunch of bully kids and a tattletale one too, who little Billy, little Johnny, did not get on with at all. He kind of hated them. But in the end, he was forced to go play with them. And it was the best summer he ever had. The end. The end. It was kind of sweet. All seriousness, it was kind of sweet. And that entity was just like, I don't know, a fairy of the forest, you know? It wasn't an alien. It wasn't a ghost. It was just sort of there. Anyway, this episode is called The Storyteller. I'm looking forward to this. And get yourself a hot cup of cocoa and settle in for some storytelling. Oh, the public library. That's a good place for books. 7th Avenue branch. These two women.
Wish you were staying in town a little longer, Aunt Doris.
Why don't you bring him with you next time you come to Vermont?
I know he'd love it. But
This woman, who we haven't quite seen yet, looks like a young person pretending to be old. So I wouldn't be surprised if we saw her de-age in a story or something. Or it could be an old woman. It just has this feeling of a young person trying to be old. Anyway, this one is written by our old friend, Rockney, who I kept calling Rocky in that one episode. Personal demons.
I don't want to be a hassle.
Oh, when I was still teaching, I used to have my students up for the weekend.
When I was
all the
younger.
time.
Aunt Dorothy?
Did she see somebody?
That man.
What about him? What about him?
No, it couldn't be.
Somebody you
Who
recognize?
is it?
2 women, a man. I chased down library steps, and so our story begins.
Okay.
All stories have a beginning, middle, and end, but the distances between beginning and end can sometimes be deceptive.
He got a cab real quick.
Of the Twilight Zone.
So did they. Follow that cab. Who is he? How do you know him? What's he carrying?
Who is that man?
Someone I knew
Who?
very many years ago.
Okay.
It was the fall of 1933.
Oh.
I was fresh out
Oh.
of college, just 22.
50 years
I was
ago.
taking my first teaching assignment in Powder Ridge, West Virginia.
I told you. I knew by the way she was walking. There she is.
Here you go, ma'am.
Thank you. Miss Livingston. Oh, you must be Mrs. Darkweiler. Oh, it's a pleasure to meet you.
Oh, it's nice to meet you, too. I didn't realize you'd be leaving so soon. I have so many questions.
Now, don't worry. There is nothing that you need to know that isn't in the notes I left you on my desk.
No.
Don't worry. These 3 months are going to fly by, and by the time I get back, you're going to wish I would have stayed away forever.
Sounds good.
Oh, something else not covered in my notes. Something important. There's a boy, a primary grader. His name is Micah.
Micah.
Now, he's going to want to be able to use the school library. You must never deny him access to the library.
Why not?
Never.
Why?
You understand?
No. Is that the guy she recognized in the future? Micah? The boy who must never be denied? I have to pause it because it's so spooky. Oh, there's one thing I forgot to mention in my notes. The actual most important thing. There's this kid, you see. He must never be denied. He's going to want to read every book in the library. He's going to read all the books in your home. And then he's going to dig a hole and read all the books in China. Do you understand? No. What are you talking about? What if I say no to him? What happens? She should be running after the... What happens? Am I in peril? You said this place would be great for 3 months and I wouldn't want to leave. But you must never open the mystery door. Right, let's meet this kid. This spooky kid. Hey, maybe we've got an Anthony situation on our hands. Again.
Yes, Mother. It's very clean. Listen, I'm going to have to go soon. This is very expensive. I'll call you first thing next Sunday and let you know how everything went, okay?
How about you call me?
I will.
You call me.
I love you too. Very much.
I don't know who she's on the
Good
phone.
night, Mother.
Her mother, right.
Hi.
Let's meet this kid. That one right here. The quiet one. Sit down. Sit the hell down.
Okay. Daniel Elledge?
Present.
Micah?
Nathaniel Elledge?
Present.
His brother. Troublemaking brothers.
Micah Frost?
Present.
What does he look like?
While the expanding colonies were growing wealthy and independent, Britain maintained that the colonies existed solely for its own profit.
Yep.
Up until 1763, however, in addition to numerous new taxes imposed on the colonies,
It was all about taxes.
a standing army was to be sent to America, and settlement beyond your own Appalachian Mountains was forbidden. Micah Frost.
Don't disturb him. He's writing.
Yes, ma'am.
Can you tell me the natural border the British chose beyond which colonial settlement was forbidden?
Sure he can.
No, ma'am.
Damn it.
I just mentioned it a moment ago. I suggest you put your other work aside for later and listen to the lesson at hand.
Yeah, kid. How does she recognize him 50 years later? Hey, Micah, you can go home now. There he goes. He's not spooky yet. He's still staying? Can the teacher leave? He's asleep. He's just sleeping. Hey, Micah, go home.
Micah, time to go home.
It's real late. Is Micah's home? He's reading to his pops, his grandpa.
So in order to add the two fractions, we must first determine the common denominator.
That's right.
Who'd like to try that for us?
Me. I can do it. I'll find any denominator you want. What you doing? That looks like a maze, Micah. 16. Very good. Very good. He's just writing stories. That's all. How did he get up there?
Micah, may I see you down here a minute?
Just jump down, Micah. It'll be fine.
As far as I can tell, Mrs. Dockweiler hasn't had a conference with your parents in quite some time. I was wondering if you could shed some light on
My
that.
parents died in an accident.
I'm sorry. Who's taking care of you?
It's just me and my grandfather now.
I'd like to talk to him.
No, he couldn't.
You could drop by the
Please
house.
tell him then that I'll stop by and see him sometime.
You can't do that.
Well,
Micah.
why not?
Just write a note.
What's going on?
Well, I'm afraid that won't do in this case.
You can't see him. You can't.
Just leave it be. Do you think his grandpa's just a skeleton?
And the princess heard the lion in the brambles, and she knew it was coming closer.
You got some talent, kid. You can peek in the window, but you can't. Just don't bother them.
And as the sun disappeared behind the mountains, the forest grew very dark. And the princess heard the lions in the brambles.
Yeah.
She knew it was coming closer to her.
Yep. To be continued.
Good night, Granddad.
To be continued. He's still alive anyway. He's just very sick. Oh. Bastard. Bastard.
How much did you hear?
Everything?
Just the very last. It was not my intention to eavesdrop.
The man in there? The man I call my grandfather?
No, he's not?
Well, he's not my grandfather.
Who is he?
He's my great-great-great-grandfather.
What?
Born in 1793.
That doesn't make any sense.
Micah, how?
I keep him alive.
With your stories?
Like my daddy did. Well, and his daddy before him. I keep him alive
By never finishing the story. It's always to be continued.
by telling him stories.
Story?
He has to know how it ends.
Not whole stories.
I was
But
right.
stories left in the middle.
I was right.
So he's got to stay alive.
They should finish this episode in the middle. They should finish it on a. Well, what happens next? They should just cut to the next episode. Then we live forever because we want to know how it ends. Isn't that how it works, little Billy? His name is Micah. This little Billy's name is Micah.
Gotta live till the next day to find out what happens.
Oh, Micah, stories don't keep someone alive.
But they do.
With him, they do.
Every night I finish a story from the night before. Then I start a new one. Always leaving off at some middle spot. I used to sit with my daddy when he told the stories.
She better not force him to finish a story.
You make up a story all by yourself every day?
Got to.
Even if it is your stories that keep him alive. Everybody has their time here on Earth. Wouldn't it be wrong to keep such an old man alive in such a way?
But my daddy always said that as long as Granddad was clear-headed and comfortable,
Right.
it was unthinkable for us not to do everything we could to keep him with us.
Is he clear-headed? We haven't seen that.
Now that's my responsibility.
Maybe he's like Grandpa Joe. He's just going to jump out of the bed when he gets a ticket to the chocolate factory. Oh, she's going to adopt it. Micah, right? Because she wants to be kept alive forever. No, starting a new one. Once upon a time, there was a snooping teacher. Oh, he fell! He fell from the tree! What'll Grandpa Joe do? She'll have to read the story to him. Oh, holy shit!
All right, now, Micah, I want you to lay as still as you can, all right? Russell, I want you to run into town and get the doctor. Tell him I sent you and that it's an emergency.
Ow! Let me go!
He's got to read to his grandpa.
I'm going to suggest that he stay the night with my
No.
wife and me, just so I can keep an eye on him.
Yes, of course, doctor.
Good.
You got to read to him.
It's gonna be all right. It's gonna be all right.
You got to tell a story. Make up a story. Just tell him what happened to his grandson. Great-grandson. That's it to be continued. He fell from the tree and then... See you later. Let's see if he's lucid. Hey, Methuselah. How you doing?
Mr. Frost, I'm Micah's teacher.
Oh, yes, he's mentioned you several times.
I've come because there's been an accident at school.
Micah?
He's all right. He broke an arm in a fall from a tree.
He hit his head off a
Apparently it's
rock.
nothing serious. He's with the doctor now.
Smashed his head open with a rock. It's nothing serious.
Quite a climber. He's a real frost.
Yeah.
Doctor say what time the boy was likely to be home?
Tomorrow?
He won't be coming home tonight, Mr. Frost.
Uh-oh. He knows. He knows.
He's going to be staying with the doctor and his wife.
Your time has come, dude. You knew this day would come. But you gotta find out how he is. That's kind of like a cliffhanger. Oh crap, it's the next day. You think he made it? Do you think he made it? Oh, there he is. He's fine.
You're still alive.
Micah,
Did you read to him?
you dropped this yesterday when you fell.
No, she read it to him.
I finished the story that you'd begun last night, and I began another one. It's all in there.
I didn't think that you believed.
I'm still not convinced that it's the stories that keep your great-great-great-grandfather alive.
Do you think this guy's still alive in the future?
But I thought just in case.
When we follow with the taxi, we're going to see this guy still alive. 50 years later. 190 years old. Oh, here we go.
There have been a number of times over the past 50 years when I wondered just what became of that odd little boy.
How'd you recognize him?
And you think that man we're following is...
Micah.
Could be.
Keep it. Thanks.
Oh, she's very spry, isn't she, for 90? I don't know how old she's supposed to be. 50 years older than she was? Run up the stairs, show us what you've got. And she's pretty quick. She does her yoga. She's good at eavesdropping. Maybe the door will still be open somehow. It's still ajar. It's the cops! Get on the ground!
And as the woman watched, the door eased open very slowly.
Oh, cut the episode! Cut it! Yeah!
Is the old man there? Is he 200 years old?
I can't say, Mother. Not until tomorrow.
Well, she put it into practice, didn't she? What was going to reach her? That lady in the taxi? I like this. I like this episode. I like the ending. I like it cut when... I love that it cuts where it did. It's what I wanted. I wanted the episode that just... for us not to find out. So the thing is, they don't just tell half a story and then the next day they tell half a story, a different story, and then the next day they tell half a story. What they do is they tell half a story, and then the first day, and then the second day, they finish that first story and start a new one. So you get the end of one and the start of another one, and that's how you keep doing it, like that. So they do get closure. Because she said, I wasn't sure of that, because she said, "Oh, I finished your story and I started a new one," and then here she's like, "You'll find out tomorrow." So she's using it to keep her mother alive. And now we just need some sort of system to de-age everybody, you know? Maybe you sing them a song every night. They get a day younger every night, and then, you know, we get all the Twilight. We make the Twilight Zone work for us. We figure out all its kooky eccentric. No, kick the can. We figured it all out already. We kick the can. That's how we make ourselves younger. What am I saying? Sing a song. Great. Yeah, that's much better than telling half a story. Just kick the can. Now, how did she recognize that boy 50 years later? Yeah, some people just have faces like that, you know? You go, hey, yeah, I could see it, yep. Follow that cab. I like the story. It's a sweet story, for one. Two, it's not an Anthony situation. That dire warning that the other teacher said to her as she was leaving without any explanation turned out to be just... apparently she knew all about it. I don't know how, because she never visited, but he must have explained it to her somehow. She very importantly stressed that we must not stop the kid under any circumstances. So she must have known. Maybe she just liked encouraging his writing. You know, sure he can flunk math. Sure he can flunk history, you know? But as long as he keeps writing, that's all we care about. On the other hand, he's dedicated his whole life to keeping his great-great-great-great-great-great-great-grandfather alive. You know, it takes a lot of effort to write a new story every single day. And you can never stray too far from home. I don't know, maybe he's gotten really good at it. You know, he can knock it out in an hour or so. And then he has the rest of the day to go bowling or, you know, do normal people things. Maybe it's not such a lifelong burden. He just needs to find a replacement person who can do it for him. Or maybe both of them. Maybe get a whole bunch of people. Maybe that's the whole Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory thing. You know the way all those people were in bed, the same bed? Maybe it was the same thing. Charlie was telling them a story every night. All of them. 4 for the price of 1. Season 2, I've been digging these episodes so far. So let's keep going with Night Song next time. Should I have just watched half of this episode? Maybe. And then watch the other half next time? And but look, there's cute ideas, and then there's breaking all sorts of crazy rules, you know? Come back next time for Night Song? Oh, it's literally what I was saying, wasn't it? To make them young, sing them a song at night. But I'm expecting maybe some birds in the next episode. Maybe some vampires singing. Place your bets. I will see you next time.